Get ready for the world's greatest Arsenal podcast. Welcome to another podcast by Guns and Yellow Ribbons. Enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Guns and Yellow Ribbons. I'm Fergus, I'm your host. I'm joined by my three very, very good friends. I got Danish Gunnar, Capo Dan, who's now not clashing with his hair and skin this week, which is so much easier for everybody watching on YouTube. And we got...
It's a shame you've got your voice back, it really is.
It is just a shame. Mind you, you talked about voices back. Did you hear the Luton manager? He sounded like me last week. And of course, we have got Hilsey. How is everybody? Clearly, Dan's... raring to go. Alex recovered from the early start on Sunday morning after a long day and two Chineses.
Oh yeah, half Chinese myself now. But yeah, it was so early yesterday. I was knackered when I woke up this morning. But brilliant weekend and lovely to see all the people over there. Yeah, just a brilliant weekend.
Remember 5 stars on TripAdvisor, yeah? 5 stars on TripAdvisor.
Yeah, always. Best hotel.
Trevor, I have, and people will see it tomorrow on gunsandYellowribbons.com, your blog, which is really, really good. And we're going to actually talk about some of the topics, including the game that you've written about tomorrow, because you talk about meeting up for the first time of the season, the Wenger statue, us all together. We then go into some of the chaos that happened in the stadium, and we talk about the game itself. And then just some stuff around the club. So it's almost like how we're going to go today. Trev, I enjoyed reading it. I hope you enjoyed writing it and look forward to seeing it up tomorrow.
I did, Ferg, I had a lot on my mind after Saturday because I was really pleased with most of the game, the performance. But some of the other things that went on worried me greatly as an old man football fan. And I felt the need to air my views. But as football fans, we can't let that take the forefront of what's in our minds. The forefront in our minds should still be supporting our great club, because they showed us on Saturday that they're capable of playing to an astonishingly high level, breathtakingly high level we played to at times on Saturday. And that's what we've got to keep in our minds. We could discuss the other stuff, but I must stress that at the front of my mind is hoping my team wins trophies this year, mate.
Absolutely. Listen, the plan was...
Can I just very quickly address our listeners, please, Ferg? I'd like them to understand where the name Is It Working Yet comes from. So
okay.
There is a podcast on
here
that will have you believe that it's related to the ticket system, but it's nothing to do with that. I do believe in men supporting men.
I could easily take you out of this.
It's fine. Just, as I said, men supporting men. I'd like to just say, well done, Fergus. I think it's very brave of you to admit what you admitted.
Right. Okay. So let's get this one out of the way. So just before half time, it didn't bother with beers at half time. We had a few beers beforehand. I went into the gents because I thought there's no queue. I'll go in there, and there's some guy beside me, and he's rabbit, and he's talking to me, and I'm going, oh, Jesus, I just want to go for a wee. And this guy goes, well, who do you hate more, West Ham or Tottenham? I said, mate, I really don't care. I just want to go for a wee. So he gets a little shirty and, oh, you're contrary, miserable, this, that, the other. I go back down to my seat, and these two are down here. These two at the bottom are down here. I said, oh, what's that? I explained the story. I said, I just want it to work. And then they've just been bombarding me with texts and pictures.
Alex, we just told the real version that he came out of the toilet and he just near enough in tears said, I really want it to work, and there was nothing related.
Yeah, you lying. I like how he took control and he wanted to tell the story, not you, Dan.
Controlling the narrative.
Yeah, exactly.
You can make up your own mind, but whoever you believe, drop it in the chat and let us know.
The plan on Saturday was for us all to meet. Here we go. As long that we meet at 11 o'clock at the Wenger statue, but somebody decided to change the plan and get in early. So Trevor, all on his own, with his brand new tattoo on his belly, was in block 7 waiting for everybody from 10:05, wasn't it, Trev?
Yeah, I come in on the train with our good mate Dale, who's put that comment on there, and we were around the stadium early, and Dale had his little boy with him on his first visit to the Emirates, and he was so excited. So we said, "Come on, we go in. We know where we're going to meet them inside." So we went in, and it was great because the stadium was next to empty, and the lad got a lovely look round. He went down the front. He went round to where the tunnel is, and he met Charlie George. So it was great getting in there really early, and also my ticket worked, which was a bonus. I got in without any issues.
Hang on to that thought, because we will talk about the ticket issue. But myself and Alex got down as planned, 11 o'clock, Wenger statue, had some pictures. Young Theo and his dad Andrew were there, and Dale and some of the others that were there. Well, you know what was really nice, lads, and I don't know what you thought, but I thought it was really nice that the multi-generational sort of gathering that we had. Like there was Dale's boys, you said, there was Theo there. Look, there was all the kids that were just there enjoying the football, and it was absolutely brilliant to see them not just cowering away, but really, really getting involved in singing and everything else. Watch this video, and then I'll ask your opinion. So it was just really, really good. As Dale said, Next Generation North Bank. Capo Dan, you were leading the line there. What was it like having such a young audience?
It was just kids and then even bigger kids, wasn't it, really?
Well, yeah, effectively.
Yeah.
It must have been the first time ever you was in a group and be the biggest person, Dan.
I know, it doesn't happen very often, does it? It's all right, Trev. I was going to leave you alone tonight, but I was going to say it was the young kids, us middle generation, and then I was going to say the older ones being third, but you're one of the older ones as well now, Trev.
Right.
He was sitting over in the booth. You know,
I had a nice seat. I did, yeah. I had a nice seat. But you see, the thing is, people are happy to bring their kids now round to that area because now it's gone on for a season or two, that gathering in that area and getting the singing going. They know it's a safe spot to bring their kids. They know there's no idiocy. They know that there's nice people there, and they bring their kids there, and the kids absolutely love it, don't they? So I've got nothing but praise for anybody that starts the atmosphere going in that ground in whatever way. And what you boys, Capo Dan in particular, if I'm honest, and you, Ferg, do in particular at Block 5 and 6 is an important part of getting kids in the game and raising the atmosphere. I love it. I just can't stand next to it. I just go and sit down, but I do love it.
We are going to get you in for a Shake It All Nanny at one point, Trev. But you sitting over the side, you said it sounded like it got going quite quick. I just wonder what your views were sitting over there.
Yeah, well, Dan, I know we're going to talk about it soon, but it was a very funny situation because I could tell that coming towards kickoff time, it wasn't as busy in the ground as it normally is. There weren't as many people gathered there, not by any means that there normally is. Everyone was having a good time singing and shouting, but from where we were sat, I could see out the window, and it was coming up to about 10 past, 12, and there were still thousands and thousands of people milling around out there, and I thought, hello, something ain't right here. And of course, then we all went to our seats, didn't we? And then we half-hour delays and that, so we all come back out, and the concourse then got more busy than I've ever known it. More busy than you could hardly move there because the people were coming out and the people were coming in, and it was a mass gathering, which we could have done without. But I dare say the Arsenal weren't too unhappy because they made a load more money on the beer store sales. So,
well, you know what? I think Arsenal have a lot to answer for on that ticketing chaos. We just put some pictures up there for anybody who's listening to the audio of what went on in the 30-minute delay. I literally got to my seat and said the game was delayed for 30 minutes. Then there was rumours it was going to be delayed for a further 30 minutes because still nobody was coming in. And somebody took probably the right idea to open some gates and let people into the stadium because there was more room in the stadium than there was on the concourse. It could have been disastrous. But I spoke to some young guys, and this is what type of annoyed me to a certain degree. That I spoke to some young guys, and this guy was in, you saw the guy I was talking to, Alex. He was his 30s, maybe late 20s. He was in your sort of age group, sort of thing. And I said to him, he said, "Oh, I came up with my card. My card wouldn't work." I said, "Do you not read your email?" Nah, I couldn't be arsed reading my email. I said, "Well, you just had to download on your phone." "Oh, don't do technology." He's 20 odd years of age. If he wants to get on a flight to Ibiza, if he wants to go anywhere on the tube, he's going to have to tap his card or his phone or something. It's ridiculous. Fans didn't help themselves. Not taking anything away from the club whatsoever on there, but it was absolute chaos.
Is this the same bloke in the toilet, Ferg?
No, it's not. No, I don't know who that was. I don't know.
Another one. Oh.
Yeah, but you know the guy. He comes around singing all the time there. Now leave it out.
I must admit though, Ferg, I didn't even notice, to be honest with you, when I was in the middle. I mean, maybe I'm just not paying too much attention, but I felt like there was still quite a few numbers in and around. But I didn't even know until we went down to our seats, and all of a sudden they said it was delayed by half an hour. So it shows how much.
All I felt that I felt it was a tough crowd. I thought it was a 12:30 sort of crowd. The early morning crowds where it's a bit early to be drinking beer for some people at 10 o'clock in the morning, and they're not wound up and got ready to, start singing and chant. And that's what I felt. And we left and went, "Oh Christ, that's a tough crowd." And we went down to go to our seats and came back again. And it's only where Trev was. I looked at the frosted glass and you could see thousands. And then they opened the turnstiles and trying to get people in. And that's when that young lad said, "I've been outside since 10 to 12. So he gave enough time, 40 minutes to get into the stadium. Maybe in hindsight should have given a bit more, but I don't know. Trev, some questions should be asked of the club. Do you reckon they've done proper testing? You've worked in industry quite high up for this sort of stuff, so you'd be aware of how this works.
Well, I think the club had gone some way towards mitigating for problems at the barriers. In fairness, Fergus, they'd opened the gates 2.5 hours before kickoff, whereas normally it's 2 hours at the most before kickoff. They'd put the incentives there for the fans coming to the stadium early by offering half-price drinks. So they'd done that right. But they obviously hadn't put into whether they'd put anything in place to cover for the digital system failing or not being used properly. We can't be sure. But if they had, they certainly hadn't instructed it out to the stewards and to the people in near the gates, which is really worrying. You just touched on the most important point for me there, Fergus, in that it's been said, and I've been told this. I haven't witnessed it, so I must have been told this, that stewards got fans into the ground by opening the gates and waving them in, right? That means that no bags were checked, no security searches were carried out. And I don't know if I'm happy with that, to be honest. I don't know if I want to be in that stadium that insists on checking everything and them just waving people through the gates because the system had failed. I'd have rather seen them put the kickoff back another half an hour and take it from there. That's quite worrying. But there was no coordination, it didn't appear, between the stewards. Some gates were checking bags and tagging them. But as Dale went into the ground with his bag and got it tagged, a steward from the next gate round was leant on the fence saying, "What are you tagging bags for? We're not tagging bags." There was absolutely no coordination, and that's where the club has let itself down. It had half planned for it, but it hadn't planned for the most important thing, the failure of the system. Or if they had, the plans weren't up to standard, and they need to do a massive rethink and quickly.
I agree. I don't think they'll go back on the digitalization because it prevents touting. It's a better way to control stuff, and the amount of money and investment that they put in with the gates and the technology. So it's probably cheaper for them to administer than sending out cards to everybody all the time as well. I did hear, and again, I don't know how true this is, so don't say I'm quoting it, but I did hear that they recruited extra stewarding in because expecting it to be a more difficult experience for people to get in, not being used to it. And how much training they had for an event like that would be a question I would have. And I also would question the timing of it because this was the first game that we had the balloted tickets. So there was a lot of people who were Red members who might have never been to a game before and had picked up tickets and were trying to work out with their digital passes and stuff like that. And lots of older fans who had always used their cards the whole way along. So you had a combination of a multitude of different things that would have made the situation even worse. This club did issue a statement, or not a statement. They sent an email out to everybody apologising for the inconvenience and thanked everybody for the support, and said that it was going to be delayed by a half hour. And they've also said that in further communication on email, which I think came out today, that anybody who did attend, they will get the credit for the game, because a lot of people were worried about, because your attendance credits matter when you're going to cup games. Dan, jump in. Go on. You were going to say something.
Yeah, it was just one of the questions in the chat that we started, and talking about the atmosphere and allocations and different things from fans. I've seen a lot of tweets, a lot of people's opinions on what allocations should be there, but it feels very much like the club, in terms of the allocations, have got complacent, and we're moving towards a ballot system where they want everyone to have an equal opportunity. And I understand the point behind it, but for me, it's just the club saying we want lots of different people to be able to attend, because they're going to turn up to the stadium and spend loads of money in the club shop and make the club more money, as opposed to saying, these fans are going to improve the atmosphere and directly impact the team. Surely, as a club, if you want to be a successful club, you start with success on the pitch. And I think if you've got a fan base that's there backing the team and creating an atmosphere and improving the team's performance, surely that's got to be the start of it, before getting people in to spend money in the club. And you get the people spending money from the tours in the US, and I think you've got to draw the line somewhere. We already pay ridiculous ticket prices compared to most other clubs. Just get the proper fans in the stadium and get an atmosphere. And for the sake of cutting a small allocation, I don't know how true the cuts of the allocations are, but the guys in the clock and how good they've been, surely you can get them an extra 50 or something tickets, not by cutting back on people that are bringing kids to the stadium, not by cutting back on proper fans, but even just stopping, people that are there just to sit there on their phones on Instagram and bits all day. And there are ways the club can do it. I don't believe that the club don't have a way.
And you know what? Trevor made a huge point last week. And if you talk about, in particular, the Ashburton Army, although there has to be credit given, as was given to you earlier today, and other areas in the stadium, the West Stand, the East Stand, they all make noise, even club level does. But back in the day when Trevor went to football many, many years ago, I wasn't even in the bloody country, but if you went on to the North Bank, you just gathered together with your mates, like we all gather at Block 5, and you just all went down together and you sung and like that. But you can't do that if you're a member, and a lot of these Ashburton Army guys are just red members, some are silver. They're just a member buying a ticket, and if they're scattered all over the place, it just can't work. They need some assistance by the club, because the club actually acknowledged what they and other fans have done to improve the atmosphere in the ground. Alex, you don't come to as many games as us. You were there on Saturday, and you saw the smaller allocation Ashburton Army had, but you've heard them at previous games, and you heard them on Saturday. You can hear them sporadically in the North Bank, not clearly, but you can hear them where we are. Did you think there was a difference in the atmosphere then?
Yeah, it definitely felt less, and you could visibly see it was a smaller group of the Ashburton Army compared to some of the games last season. But yeah, I really hope the club will cooperate with them and sort of give them more opportunity to help create an atmosphere, because we've seen how much of an impact it has had already, getting the whole stadium going. And I've seen it here in Denmark as well, in Brøndby, where the fans carried out a boycott of the atmosphere last season, and how much an effect it had on the team and the performance, compared to now, where they've dropped the boycott and started creating an atmosphere. And it's just a massive difference, as Dan said. It impacts the team directly, the performance. So I just think it's a no-brainer from the club. They should help accommodate a larger group of the Ashburton Army. and be more cooperative with them, because I mean they've already taken the step to acknowledge them and help them in some ways. Why not help them even more? So that's my view on it.
Yeah. Trev, do you have a thought? Because I know it's in your blog as well about the Ashburton Army. Do you have a thought on that? And then we'll move towards the game.
Right about this, and it wouldn't get boring because it needs to be talked about amongst the fans. I think that for me, oh God, take me down a bit, man. I can't look at my own face.
Hang on, just carry on a second. I'm just doing something. That's all.
The Ashburton Army had their allocation halved, and for me, the Ashburton Army, along with the group that gather at Block 5 and 6 and a couple of little areas in the ground, are responsible for everything that's improved our stadium and improved our club over the last couple of seasons. They are solely responsible, them groups of people, for making the fans be appreciated by Mikel Arteta, as he stated, be appreciated by all the other players, as they've stated. Declan Rice, first prep game at home on Sunday, singing along to North London Forever. You know, they notice it lifts them. So if this is only my thoughts, because I'm looking in from outside, so I don't know. But in my previous experience in business, sometimes big businesses or big associations, they get these people in that might be great business people, or they might be qualified to degree level. It might have 1 or 2 degrees. You never know, right? But they don't have an affiliation or an inside knowledge of that exact industry or club, right? They can run a business, but they don't have an affiliation or knowledge. And if that's the case at the Arsenal, which the way we're looking in, the way they're trying to kill off the atmosphere and the way they're trying to ruin the ticket distribution looks to be the case, then they need to stop it quick. We need people running our great club at all levels. Not all of them, but most people that are running our great club at all levels should have some kind of affiliation to the football club in the heart. And they should have some kind of association with football and know the importance. The most important thing is know the importance of that team to the fans that go, right? And it would appear to me at the moment that Arsenal have got maybe some business people in places running a business, looking at money, but not concentrating a little deeper, you know, and looking at what the backlash or what the problems might be. The atmosphere suffered on Saturday. People couldn't get in the ground because of a new digital ticket system. I don't know if that's linked, but it was the case. Stewards weren't briefed properly. So that tells me that somewhere up the line, someone might be managing, but not managing in the sense of looking at what they're actually doing, having a knowledge of what goes on further down the line. I've ranted on Bert Ferg. I could go on about it all night, mate, because it really bugs me. But at the end of the day, before I shut up for 5 minutes, Ferg, at the end of the day, right, the most important thing is that us fans don't get down about it. Discuss it, growl about it for a bit, but keep supporting our great club. And James Powers just put a comment here. Look, I've got 2 degrees to employ me. James, you'd probably do a wonderful job. Would you do a wonderful job? I
thought they were called the 3 degrees.
Wait a minute, Ferg. This ain't a joking thing. This is a serious thing. Fuck off, right? James has got 2 degrees, which means he's an educated man, but he's an Arsenal fan, so he can see both sides of the coin. You do a great job, James. I'd employ you absolutely tomorrow, mate. No problem. Sorry, Ferg, you annoyed me then, son.
Yeah, no, that's fine, clearly, because you swore. But yeah, listen, there was I think it was Lyndon made a point about touts. I did see some touts myself, and Alex saw them outside the Arsenal tube station. They were asking for tickets and the usual thing, but I didn't see as many of them. But somebody said they saw some PDFs going around. Dan, do you have a final word on that? And then we'll move on to the game.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to Nobby's message in the chat where he said all fans need to be given a chance to get tickets. To be honest, mate, I disagree with you because I think most fans should get an equal chance. But I think to say all fans should be given a chance, I think is wrong. I'll give an example. Like a person like myself, I like to go and see football. If I was travelling abroad and let's say it was a Bayern Munich versus Borussia Dortmund game or something, you know, I'd love to go abroad and see them. But there's absolutely no way that I should be equal right to getting a ticket as opposed to fans over there in, you know, that follow week in, week out. And as a club that make money out of people that are loyal, you have to also show loyalty both ways. And there are many, many fans that have been going for years and years and years when things haven't been fantastic that are now not able to get tickets. And I think that's the biggest shame out of everything. It's not that, supporters that are coming in, that haven't been as regular, that's not the issue. It's great to see new faces and people that love the club, but it's when you get faces in that don't particularly love the club and are there just for a day out at the expense of loyal fans that I think is a shame.
No, I agree. And I agree to a certain degree, but to get that loyalty and to being able to go in, week out, you need to get tickets. It's a vicious circle. Listen, go on, Trev.
Just got to say something. I'm just looking at the comments, Ferg, and I understand why it's been done, but I just want to say that there's one or two people that are naming names in the comments, and we can't put that up on our screen, lads, on our podcast, because we are surmising. We don't know the facts. Yeah, this is all of our thoughts. It's not factual, so we couldn't put these people's names on our screen. I can understand your annoyance with these people if that's the case, but we can't actually accuse these people.
We discussed this very point before we went live, and Dan said, what can we say, what we can't say? We can say our opinion, and that's what we're saying. We're sharing our opinion. We won't name anybody or anything like that. The only people we'll name are organisations like fans like ourselves, the people at Block 5 and Block 6, the Ashburton Army, friends of the show and friends of ours, because everybody knows who the Ashburton Army are and the point about ticket allocation and atmosphere and so on. Listen, just let Mikel Arteta explain to you about what it means and what we've done over the last couple of years, because he actually says it in this little video clip and what we're building into this season.
We have reconnected with the soul of our football club. The destination is to bring success and trophies, and we are working every single day to deliver that. The journey is beautiful, and the company and the people that is involved in this journey makes me really proud. And now we have to reset, reflect, and go again.
Here's Martinelli. Oh, what a goal! Wonderful from Arsenal. Emirates erupts. Saka. Oh! Fantastic goal! Bukayo Saka is absolutely brilliant. Might have to hit it now. He does! Yes. What a goal! Reece Nelson has won it for Arsenal! And the place is going wild! What a finish! Oh my goodness! It's taken a matter of seconds for Arsenal to take the lead. It was simple, it was brilliant, and Arsenal got the dream start.
So, the man himself said what we've built and what we've done. Joe in the chat has come up with a very good point on here. The club have bowls it up. They've used a sledgehammer to crack a walnut. If all the members had to produce ID to renew the memberships, I'd be convinced that it would have freed up a lot of tickets and countless numbers of moody memberships around. Definitely some of the touting ones and so on. I might struggle. I've got a couple of Reds and my season ticket, so I'd have to prove
what do you
it
buy your Reds for? What you use your Reds if you're getting a ticket?
I use the Reds. I bought the Reds for my son and my daughter. My daughter doesn't really want to go, but my son. And what happened is when I bought one, the screen crashed. I pressed the button again, and I ended up got the two. So I've just always paid for them. Now my son and my grandson go, and I've got a junior for. So I've kept them. I just kept paying them. But I end up if there's friends or family coming over from Ireland, or if there's one of us in our group that needs a ticket, and they're sitting on my Red, I'll share them out that way. And that's what I have done before. I don't use them to tout them out anywhere. Trevor, you mentioned this beforehand, before the game. Our new £105 million signing had taken some singing lessons.
Makes his Premier League debut for his new club today. It's the start of a huge season for him with the Euros to come next summer.
I don't know if that's some AI clever stuff, but I still like it. Alex.
It was on BT Sports when I watched it back, so it's definitely not AI.
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
It did. Okay, because I watched it back on Match of the Day and I couldn't see it clearly. But I saw it and I thought, I wonder if it was AI. So I just thought I'd cover my ass on that one. Alex, it's been a while since you've been at the Emirates. Like that rendition of North London Forever, like at Wembley last week. It was deafening. It was noisy, and it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think more and more people are learning the words to it, and it is our anthem now, and it's recognized as our anthem now. So, yeah, it's just goosebumps every time you hear it, and it was one of the things I look forward to the most coming over to see the game. It was singing that song before the game. It just gets you ready for the game, and I love the song and the meaning of it as well. So yeah, it's just beautiful, and it's lovely to see a new signing like Declan. He just gets the club, and to see him sing along, even though he's only been here for a month or so, it just makes you happy. He just makes you excited as a fan seeing things like that.
He does. Before we go any further, if I could ask, we got quite a few people watching. I know the football's going to start in an hour or so, half hour or so. If you do go over to YouTube or if you listen on audio, go and hit the subscribe button. It just does help us along the way. We're going to talk about the game now because that's what we're here. We're Arsenal fans.
It doesn't help us along the way by getting any money. It just helps us work better systems to do our podcast that we love doing. Just needed to say that, Ferg.
No. I know, Trevor.
We need 4 more people to get to 900, so that would be nice by the end of this episode.
Yeah.
That'd be
By
brilliant.
the way, Peter, I've noted your questions, Peter. I've noted your questions. I'm not ignoring you in the chat, mate. We will move on to that subject shortly. All right, I've starred them, folks, so they're there for you.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. If you do have any questions that you think about the game, we're going to talk about the Forest game, the injury and stuff with Kevin Tierney and stuff like that. By all means, put them in the chat, and Trev will star. And we're going to look at the lineup first of all. Now, Dan, I'll ask you on the lineup here, and I'll ask all three of you clearly, but we'll start with you, Dan. With Ramsdale, Partey, White, Saliba, Timber, Rice, Havertz, Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli, and Nketiah. It was a different lineup. We started Eddie because Gabby wasn't available, and I was a little bit confused. There was a question asked. No, I was a little bit confused as to,
unusual.
He's unusual, Trev. Very unusual. God, you guys are ganging up on me today. I was a little bit confused as, what we were doing. We were doing a 3 at the back. What was Partey doing? Playing right back. We'd seen him playing at right back against Forest at the end of last season. It didn't go too well. What were your thoughts when you saw the lineup?
I was quite shocked, if I'm totally honest. I mean, I didn't expect anything other than the same team that played City, because I was just expecting that to be our best available team, and that Arteta would stick with a team that performed well against City. I understand why he brought Eddie in if he's saying he trained well, so I can understand that one. But the Gabriel one's still a bit strange for me, because if he's not fit, I'm surprised he was on the bench and then came on. And then I think Arteta did make a comment to say it was tactical. So, we never really know how fit he was. Maybe he had a niggle and he was just trying to protect him. But I was surprised to see him on the bench. And even more surprised, I know he did it last year, Partey, where he played right back. I was expecting to see Declan Rice slot in at centre-half and step out a bit like John Stones does, because I know Declan can play at centre-half. I just feel like with Partey, when he plays right back, you lose an awful lot of him in the team, because by the time he comes out from the right back position and drifts inside, he does come in eventually, but he misses that first sort of 3-4 seconds of the phase of play, which is where he's best at for me, where he's on the half turn and can feed a ball in quick, and he's just got that speed of thought and speed of pass that others don't have. So, yeah, a bit of a surprise, and I don't think I'd like to see it too often.
Trev, we talked, and we've done that little video clip that we do for Sophie and Kevin on Highbury Squad, and we talked about, would it be Trossard? Would it be Havertz? Would it be who was it? There was the 3 players that we're talking that we're talking about there. We never for a second gave it a thought that Eddie would play there, and that it would be a back 3 or a back 4, whichever way your thoughts were then. What did you make of how it was lining up?
Yeah, much like Dan, I was very surprised, Fergus. I like the way Gabriel plays football, and I was surprised not to see him play. But I wasn't overly upset because I trust our manager. I do trust our manager. You know, he's not got a lot wrong. He has shown his inexperience at times, but overall, he's not got a lot wrong. So I looked at the team and I thought, right, okay, he must think this is the team that's going to go out and beat Nottingham Forest. You know, teams for different games, as we've all discussed, and we now have enough players. Although we're now one short, we have enough players to play these different systems, you know, and I can't fault it and I won't knock it, the fact that we're going to change things around from game to game, because that was part of our downfall a few years ago, the fact that we became so predictable. We didn't have a plan B, you know, and teams bullied us and beat us. And so I'm quite happy that we're going to change things around. And to be honest, there seems to be some really differing views from people whose opinions I really like and I enjoy and I take them on board, and we all seem to be different slightly. I thought that the first 40 minutes we were just looking like scoring every second of those 40 minutes. You know, that we give the ball away to Forest once and thankfully blazed it over. But apart from that, I was just waiting for the goals to come. We looked like scoring. I was just excited by what I was seeing. I knew when it was 0-0, I had this feeling in my head, I knew we would score. I thought we were playing that well. I really did.
Alex, there was a question. I was watching the Gooner Talk this morning. There was a question a guy called Paul James put into there. I screenshotted it. It says, Arteta's team selection yesterday sent a message out to opponents that would keep them guessing. Is it harder for them to prepare against an Arteta side when he's switching and changing into these new and different formations? We couldn't even guess what it was on Saturday. And you even came along and said, we're playing, okay, there's 9 players, not 10 in here because Saka's down off screen, but they were playing a 3-1 sort of formation.
Yeah, well, your question is, I think it definitely makes it tougher on opponents when you keep them guessing. That's pretty much what Guardiola does all the time as well. But I've seen some analysis of the way we lined up, and I don't know if you can bring up the picture again.
I will do, yeah.
This was pretty much our formation when we were in possession. But looking back at it, I think it really makes sense the way we set up with obviously Eddie as our front man, and then Havertz and Odegaard occupying the half spaces and sort of occupying the other 2 central defenders, which isolates Martinelli and Saka on the wings against their fullbacks. Because normally when you play against a 5-back team, it's difficult to get your wingers isolated. But setting it up this way, it really helped isolating our wingers against their fullbacks. And I think that's pretty much what we did very well, especially in the first half, getting Martinelli and Saka isolated and getting them in good positions. And that's pretty much where we got our 2 goals from as well. And then I think we struggled a bit on the left side with the sort of the relational play between Rice, Martinelli, and Havertz. They still need to get it going. Whereas you can see it's pretty much the same as for last season with Odegaard, Ben White, and Saka on the right hand side. It just flows like last season. But I think against sides like Nottingham Forest, who play a 5-back and sort of just sit back and have 20% of the possession and not really look to get anything more than a draw, I think it makes sense to go for a formation and a tactical proposition like Arteta did.
Dan, you were going to come back in on that, and then I'll go to you, Trev.
Yeah, and also just fits in quite nicely with George's comment in the chat where he said what's changed in terms of the way we set up. I mean, correct, the way we attacked down the flanks was still very, very similar in that we like to isolate them one-on-one. And every time, sort of, for example, Partey had a man on, he drifted inside and took him inside. But the main change was the number of players in the half space in between their midfield line and the back 4 or the back 5. And, we're normally used to seeing, let's say, a number 10 where we have one man in between the lines that floats. And then Arteta recently has been setting up with Odegaard and last year Xhaka as a 2. But he's now set up with a 3 that rotates in that position. And you've got the likes of Odegaard playing sort of inside right. And then you had Declan Rice pushed up inside left and then Havertz in the middle. So you had 3 players in the half spaces, which just continues to draw out every single time one centre back from their team and just leave spaces, which is quite clever. But we've also got like a huge flexibility now in our team where it isn't just those three that we pressed up there. For example, if Timber steps in, Partey dropped back as part of the three at times, or Rice dropped in and Partey pushed on, or Timber pushed in, and those three really rotated quite a lot throughout the game, and especially in the second half, you actually saw Partey and Rice alongside each other as like a two, and we went to like a 3 and a 2. At times we then went to a 3 and a 1, and that one rotated quite a lot, but it really did pin them back as well and stop them coming out to press the ball much. And I think when we're playing against teams such as Forest at home, it just gives us a great element of control. The only, I think, risk there is it does also leave us very, very open to the counter. And I think we saw that in the second half, that when things go wrong, we need to just be a bit more switched on.
Trev?
Yeah, it's just interesting. I'm just listening to the boys here because we're all watching the same game and we've all got overall the same views, but how we come to those views is slightly different, and I'm liking it. And I'm liking it because it means that the Arsenal are playing really well and doing some things right. In that picture there, we said that Partey was at right back, but where's Partey there? He's in the middle of the park with White out wide on the right. And I thought that White and Partey worked together really well. Watching what went on down that side, I thought that White and Partey did really well. With Odegaard, when Partey went inside into the space, into the middle, Odegaard seemed to come out and cover the space that he'd left, and they were shifting it all around. And as Dan says, against teams like Forest that are going to put 10 players behind the ball and make you come at them, that's what you've got to do. And it proved to be the right thing to do, didn't it? Because we're 2-0 up, 2 cracking goals. We've moved the ball around. And, so it's funny. I just see that. I had no problem with Partey moving out onto the right-hand side and going back in when he felt the need. I just felt that that was partly different in the second half when we lost Timber, because Timber was having
we'll get there.
Yeah, but I'm just bringing it into this point. Timber and Saliba were making a great point of covering in the first half. If Rice or if Partey or White were found to be too far up the field, and as Dan said, left a bit open for Forest to counter attack. Then we had Timber and Saliba who were just purring around the defence, just picking up the pitch,
So we've not even kicked a ball yet, according to where we are. We're still on 11 minutes in, though. Brendan Johnson had a one-on-one, and it's probably the only moment that Forest had in that first half. They could have gone 1-0 up. Ramsdale done well, and it was probably a little bit on the unlucky side for Johnson. But considering what impact he had on our game later in the day, good riddance. We controlled possession with big opportunities under Martinelli. Now, Martinelli is the player for me. I know Saka got man of the match, and I thought Partey was outstanding. I thought I found it difficult to find a player who didn't have a good game on Saturday. But Martinelli, who wants to go on Martinelli first? Go on, Trev. You've turned your microphone on first, so let's talk.
Mate, that bit of skill, I didn't see it at the time in live. It wasn't until I got home and I watched the game back. And that bit of skill to set Eddie up for his goal was outrageous. And it shows a player that is now playing at the very top of his form, that's got the confidence to do things like that. And it was just breathtakingly skillful and good. It was on a par with some things I saw the Invincibles do. It was that good, that bit of skill. And it just brought me to mind that we should expect Martinelli's skills. If he keeps improving as he has done, what's he going to be like this season? Saka, if he keeps improving like he has done, how many more of those goals are we going to get? So Martinelli, fantastic, along with most of the other players on the field, to be honest.
Dan, Martinelli and his skill, has he reached his peak yet? Like Trevor said, I don't think he's anywhere near his peak yet.
Nowhere near. That's the exact reason why he doesn't get dropped in any single game. As good as Trossard has been, and I would say Trossard definitely deserves to be in the team, Martinelli's just too good. He's got that in his game, and I think even Arteta picked up on it, where he said, when Gabriel's also going back the other way and getting involved and defending with the same intensity, he's near enough unplayable and undroppable from the team. So, for me, just he's nowhere near the end. He's the next star in our team, I think, as I said a few times.
And for the benefit of the tape, is Brendan Johnson's, not Brendan. I was been pointed out in the private chat. I've cocked up again, but hey, listen, it wouldn't be a podcast without me cocking up somewhere along the way.
I was going to let that one slip in the public limelight.
Yeah, you've done me enough times already, so yeah, go on.
Just quickly on the goal. I think it kind of showed why Arteta probably wanted Nketiah in the team. Someone who's going to be in the box, sniffing out chances like that. And just being able to get the ball in the box and just finish. I don't think we've got anyone else in the team who's got that same instinct or the way Nketiah plays. I think you could argue Trossard could do it as well, but I think he roams a lot more than Nketiah does, and he just always seems to be in and around those areas when the ball drops to him, like it did against Forest. And I know it got a bit deflected, but good finish, you could say, as well.
Yeah, but that's also Alex. Sorry, go on, Ferg.
16 is it 16 starts and 14 goals already? I'm not a huge fan of the guy, but the stats don't lie. If he starts, he's more likely to get a goal than if he comes on as a sub. So go on, Dan.
No, just on Eddie. I mean, look, we don't need to have a full debate on Eddie, but I think to let it slip wouldn't be fair to him. Fantastic centre forward, classic centre forward play from Eddie, where he receives the ball, one touch out of his feet, and then gets struck away. That is what you're taught at a lower level as a striker: is touch the ball, get it out your feet, and get your shot away. And I don't think we've got many people in our squad that has that in them in terms of being clinical and a striker that if he's given a second in the box will get a strike away. So he's doing the business when he starts. I think my only thing with Eddie is that even though he gets goals, does he take things away from the team and stop the team from getting goals? But I don't think you can really criticise him for what he's done when he starts in our team at the minute. And I think he deserves to be getting a shot in and around the team. I don't think he's our number one, but I think, deserves his chance at the moment.
Good backup.
Trev, Saka, he scored just the most sweetest goal ever. I don't think they'll get the angle on TV that we had eye level from the North Bank. I know yours is slightly further around but the curl and the curve, I've not seen an angle yet to see what we saw, and we were just groaning and moaning in delight at that.
Trust me, mate. I saw it. I was right on the line of watching that go in, and oh my God, it was just such a sweet strike. And as he cut inside, everybody was saying, "Come on, shoot," because they now know what Saka's capable of. They know he can bend it in that far corner if he catches it right. And he didn't let us down, did he? And it's a big statement, right? There's been all this talk about the big players this week. I honestly wouldn't swap Bukayo Saka for anyone. I rate him that highly. And I've watched a lot of football in my time. I've not always been right in my opinions. Far from it. I'm often wrong, as you boys point out to me. But I'm telling you now, if I was the manager of a football club and someone offered me Bukayo Saka or anyone else in the world, I'd take young Bukayo Saka all day long.
Who was it, Alex, that made the comment about Saka near enough being the only player at his age that carried a team and making them win top level Premier League games? I think someone commented on that recently.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was, but I think he has been, to be fair, and I think it's a fair take from Trev. I think he's the best right winger in the world, and I wouldn't swap him for anyone else at Arsenal. You can make a case Salah's been as good the last couple of years. But I think I wouldn't take Salah for Saka at the moment, especially taking their age into consideration.
Yeah, I think this AFC stuff has got the angle, but from an upper tier sort of thing. But we were slightly lower down, and it just the curl is just unreal.
It reminds me of Iron Robben, and sort of the way he used to score a lot of those goals, and you knew what he was going to do, and the defenders knew it, everyone knew it, but they just couldn't stop it. And that's one of the most powerful weapons to have in football, when everyone knows what you're going to do, but nobody can stop it. So it's becoming a trademark goal for him, and I think we're going to see a lot more of those goals this season.
I'll tell you
Well,
what,
a man
boys,
who knows.
there's
I was going to say a man who knows all about it.
Yeah.
He scored enough goals for Arsenal and Everton over the time. Super Kevin Campbell. He says, "Hi guys, hope you're well." Saka's growth and ceiling is developing, and it's frightening. What a star! Are you awestruck now, Trev? Awestruck?
I am awestruck because you see Kevin Campbell, who I'm very lucky to be able to talk to him quite often on social media. I love the man to bits. Kevin Campbell was a young man like Bukayo Saka who came into the Arsenal side, right? But Kevin carried this massive weight load of being one of the best youth team strikers that we'd had in years. He just banged goals in for fun. And he started coming into the first team, and you're thinking, well, how's he going to go in the first team? Man, never let us down once, did Kevin. Never let us down once. Scored not only a lot of goals, but one or two extremely important goals for the Arsenal. Good to see you in here, Kev. All the best, mate.
Cheers, Kev. And you know what? I'd be really interested and maybe talk to him one day about his views on Eddie Nketiah and where he thinks his ceiling could be, and is it with Arsenal in long term? I know he's signed a long term contract and everything else. Look, we're leading up to half time. Brennan Johnson tackles Jurrien Timber, and he goes down with an injury. We go for half time, and Jurrien Timber comes back on, and not long into the second half. He gets an injury. I've got a little video clip of when he pulls up, and we can talk about that then. Alex, do you want to talk us through what you're seeing?
That's in the second half, isn't it?
That's in the second half. I don't have the actual foul itself, unfortunately, unless somebody can send it to me in the chat group.
I'm not sure, but
I did read somewhere that they're not still sure from the first tackle in the first half exactly where the contact and injury was, whether it was left or right, and that this injury could be completely separate. So I think it's a bit early for people to be jumping on complaining about our medical team and how dare they get back on the pitch.
Exactly.
And comments that we've heard, because no one actually really understands what analysis they did of the player, and I don't believe for 1 second that anyone within that club would have sent someone back on if they thought there was a serious injury. So I think it's a bit sort of early to jump on that.
Dan, I've got a statement here that the club has just released.
Yeah, exactly.
Further to his substitution during our match against Forest on Saturday, Jurrien Timber has received extensive assessments and scans, which has confirmed he has sustained an injury to his right knee. He will undergo further detailed assessment and review with a consultant in the coming days to assess the full extent of the injury in order to determine the next steps. A further update will be provided in due course. So it's not a cruciate ligament, it's an injury to the right knee, and further investigations are going on. And Dan and Alex, I couldn't agree with you more, mate. There was a lot of assumptions being made there, and the fans need to stop it. They need to let things happen before they make these assumptions.
Yeah, I mean, if it is an ACL injury or something, I know they said it's ongoing, and lots of rumours about an ACL. If it is, it's a big blow, because he for me was the most exciting of all of our signings this year, and added a big degree of flexibility to our team and a big increase in ability in that back line. So let's hope it's good news, as good as we can get.
So for me, I wish Timber a speedy recovery, and it seems really just crap news that we get such a quality player, and we've seen that a player that we talked about after watching him at Wembley and in pre-season, as he will probably be the shining light. And I think even Sophie, when she came on and talked to us before the season about Timber, she's seen her seen him on the American tour, and said he would be the player that we will be all talking about come the middle and the end of this season. And I hope we get to see him sooner rather than later. That first half for me, I thought we had a very dominant display. I thought we played really good free-flowing football. It made me feel like, really delighted to see the progress that we'd even made. Even though pre-season wasn't the best, the progress we had made from where we were last season, the transition of these new players, which are very flexible, and every player on the pitch seems to be able to play in multiple positions, with the exception of maybe Aaron Ramsdale, because he's only got one job to do. But in the second half, Our defensive midfielder, Declan Rice, had nearly 2 chances. Trev, what did you make of Rice's second half performance and right up until maybe the point of the counter-attack? Don't go into that one yet.
No, all right. No, he looked desperate to score, didn't he, Declan? He got a couple of glimpses at goal, and one he hoofed a bit, and one was a very good save from Turner. It has to be said. Got down low to the corner and saved the ball. So I wasn't disappointed with the way we started the second half. I thought we picked it up nicely. It was as the half went on, maybe just after Declan had his 2 efforts, that I thought the problems started to creep in. And towards the end of the game, I'm not going to go into it, but it was now by time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I actually thought that we did very, very well for a first game of the season. I think people forget that the rhythm isn't there yet. I know we've come through pre-season, but we're nowhere near the level we will be in 7 or 8 games' time. So for me, the biggest thing is just 3 points on the board, and we've got that, and we should be very, very happy about that. But also, you're never, ever going to have a Premier League game where the opposition doesn't have a sniff. And let's be honest, Forest had, I could probably count, I feel like 3 chances, one early in the first half. They scored and then they got one shortly after. Other than that, I think we controlled the game fantastically. We've got new players that were bedding into the team that are not quite up to speed like the others are. So for me, there's still only positives. It's just a shame for me that we have conceded again at home. I do think that's something we need to work on, and we will need to get clean sheets at home if we're going to go on to win the league. But first game of the season, I think just no complaints, just into the next game. And again, all we need is 3 points from the next game.
Alex, is it the way we ended this game? Because about 80 minutes in, we were attacking from a set piece from a corner to lose possession of the ball. And I have to say, it was a fantastic counter-attack. And is it Wanyi put a great, scored a great goal on that counter-attack. It was well worked, well drilled, and they basically just ripped the centre of our midfield out. Ben White could have done better. What were your thoughts on how we defended that?
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously too easy for them for Elanga to run the length of the pitch and put a cross in. I think I've seen the goal back a couple of times. You can make a case that the ref maybe should have blew his whistle because there was a clash of heads and Havertz was down for the whole time. And they usually do that when there's a clash of heads and players go down, but doesn't take anything away from the goal and the way we defended it poorly. I think Ben White, he was covering Awoniyi in the box, but there was already another man covering him, so he maybe should have gone out to Elanga to prevent the cross. But brilliant from the ex-United player, and Saka looked a bit tired in that towards the end of the game, and he normally probably would have catched up to him, but didn't do so in that sequence. And like Dan said, I think we did play very well. They really didn't have a lot of chances, Forest, and most important thing was that we got the 3 points. And I do think we played very well for a large portion of the game. 80% possession, created some decent chances with the 2 Declan Rice shots, and even after they got a goal, we could have scored another one again on some of the counter attacks we had. So, but yeah, we just shouldn't let it happen. We should just be better at killing off the games like City do. That third goal is quite important. As Dan said, the Premier League games, they'll always get something, the other team. So hopefully we can build and do better in that sense.
Trev, Alec brought a good point up there. Like 2 goals doesn't seem enough. We need to kill things off. There was a chat among ourselves on the group saying, and I think you put it in your blog, and Alex said it as well. It reminded us a little bit of Liverpool away, West Ham away, maybe Southampton last season, where I thought then we just ran out of a bit of steam. But is it just a bit of complacency setting into it?
I don't know if it's complacency, Ferg, or if just maybe they take the foot off the pedal because they've been asked to by the gaffer, or maybe they just do it without realising and they're just 2-0 up and they're cruising. But just before Forest scored, the lad that sits next to me, I said, we don't need a Forest goal now, do we? He said, no, that would be typical of us, wouldn't it? And Stone the Crows. And it was a good goal. The lads are right. Forest scored a very good goal. But I can't help but thinking the little bit more speed and class that Timber has in him, if Timber don't get injured, I don't think Forest score that goal. I think our defence, I think he sweeps across and we clear that up on the right-hand side. But it happened. We did drop off. I was a bit surprised, and I did compare it to Liverpool. It reminded me of Liverpool last year, where we were so good in the first half, and then we seemed to sit back in the second half. It nearly bit us on the backside at Liverpool. We scraped a draw in the end because of Ramsdale's heroics on the day, and it was a bit of a nail-biting finish against the Forest game on Saturday. But maybe it's us fans that might worry about that nail-biting even more, more than Mikel does. Maybe Mikel's thinking, we're 2-1 up, we're all right. 5 minutes ago, we ain't going to give a goal away. But us fans don't see it like that, do we? We panic mode, don't we? We chew our fingers and we drink more beer and we scream and shout, come on, So who knows? But Dan's right. At the end of the day, first game of the season, 3-0 win. And most importantly, we saw plenty in that game that should excite us for the season coming.
Wish it was a 3-0 win, though.
Shut up.
I think something that you said, Trev, about the fans, being more worried about it as well. I think that the fans have a very, very big role to play. And there's one particular name I want to comment on, which is Kai Havertz. And there's so many fans getting on his back. And I said this, I think, last week, that the biggest thing I worry about with Kai Havertz is that the fans start to use him as a scapegoat, because he's a fantastic footballer. And when I watched the game back, I made a point of just trying to watch him, because I'd seen so many negative parts about him in that game, and I couldn't see it from in the ground. So try to watch it back and just focus on him. And this guy is always on the move. He's always finding little half spaces. He's always making runs in behind to drag defenders away. And what people don't see with Kai Havertz is he hasn't got these outrageous bits of skill or running past players like Saka does, but he's just one touch, two touch, drops off of the back line into a half space, plays a 1-2 with someone and moves. And he is such a big part of what Arteta wants to do in terms of playing and moving. But as fans, getting on his back, I don't see the point. Like, you're not going to help the player by getting on his back. And surely as a fan, you want him to do well. So stop all these ridiculous comments that people are making about him, complaining, saying it's a waste of money, it's this, it's that. Just get behind him and he might actually improve and be a very, very big player for our team, because
again, Dan, listening to Tom Canton on the Gooner Talk this morning, they had a live podcast with Magic Mike and a couple of other guys there. I can't remember offhand who was there, but they did a live podcast in London last night, and they done a straw poll while they were there. People cheer if you think Havertz is good. People cheer if you think Havertz is bad. And everybody cheered when they asked if he was good, and not one person voiced an opinion on where he's bad. It might be, as pointed out on that, it might be just the difference between match-going fans, online Twitter fans, and I think that's it. Listen, we're overrunning, and I know, Trevor, you wanted to talk about Havertz a little bit too, but also I want to touch on Kieran Tierney as well. So we'll run for another 5 minutes or so just to talk Tierney. Go on, Trevor.
No, I agree so much with Dan about Havertz. He didn't get any grief in the ground, by the way, not from where I was standing. It's what we've seen on social media. And I think you just need to leave your keyboards alone and leave the player alone. You're assuming that because he had a bad season with Chelsea, he's going to come to Arsenal and be bad, right? If Arteta and Edu thought he was going to come to Arsenal and be bad, they wouldn't have bloody signed him, right? He's got some go in him. He had an all right game on Saturday. Yeah, he didn't knock the skin off the rice pudding, but he played quite well and he weren't bad. And we need to back him. And if you're not going to back him, then just leave him alone. They see all this crap, some of you guys, not you guys on here, but some of these guys and people put on social media. The players see it and it affects them. So if you're an Arsenal fan, do me a favour, support the Arsenal, support the football team, support the club, support anyone that goes on the field wearing that shirt, Sorry, Ferg.
Sing Havertz.
That's fine. We've got that, haven't we? Where is that? I'm on a different screen at the minute. Multitask. That's what that is.
Well prepared,
So,
Ferg. I thought you
yeah.
was ready to drop that straight in then. Perfect timing.
I was, but I was doing something. The thing I like about that video more than anything else is the guy with the crutch.
Do you know what? I would give my right arm to listen to Fergus trying to sing those words when he's had a couple of beers. That would
Impossible.
Even without beers, he's going to struggle.
Hey. Yeah. Listen, Kieran Tierney, there's lots of talk about Kieran Tierney. There's some people in the chat talking about his links with Real Sociedad. Newcastle are interested in him. There's a few different rumours about him. Does he fit into the Arteta system and play? He's clearly a really good player, a good influence to have around the club and everything else. Trevor, can you see us getting rid of Kieran Tierney now that we've had this injury with Jurrien Timber? And because Zinchenko out still.
Ferg, I don't want to see Tierney leave the club full stop, regardless of injuries, mate. But definitely not now. There's games this season, and there'll be types of matches this season when players like Kieran Tierney, with his extra defensive skills, will be absolutely key to our performance. Look in the Champions League, when there's going to be times where we're going to be backs to the wall and we're going to need to play within our own half and play proper football and defend deep. I'd ask for Kieran Tierney every time in that side. I don't want to sell him full stop, but even more so now we've got the injury. At least keep him till January, at least.
Alex, your views on Tierney and where's he fit in, and do we keep him till January? Do we keep him longer?
I think if he doesn't fit in Arteta's plans, we shouldn't just keep him for the sake of keeping him because Timber's injured. Then we should let him go and get another player who fits Arteta's plans. But it's a difficult one because he is so well liked by the fans as well. And he does offer something different to the other fullbacks we've got. But yeah, I'll keep it to saying, like, if he's not in Arteta's plans, we shouldn't keep him. So, I mean, it's up to Arteta whether he thinks he offers something to the team which we need or not. But I wouldn't keep him at the club if Arteta is not gonna really want to play him.
Interesting point there made by Joanne. Dan, final word on the Tierney topic. He's better than Zinchenko. I think he's a better defender. I think he's a better defender, but I think the way we play football, I think Zinchenko maybe suit the team better. Your thoughts, Dan?
I think there's a place for Kieran Tierney in our team, but I think it's not as the inverted fullback. I think it's one of the three that will drop in the back line as a centre half. You know, KT can play centre half, and he plays there for Scotland when Robertson's next to him, so he can definitely play that role. He's played it for us when we had a 5 before. And I was just about to say that I think KT is a better option at centre half than Rob Holding at times. So I think there is a place for him. However, I do agree with Alex that if he's not going to play, one, it will just drop his value and people will come in and try and sign him for a ridiculous fee. But also, I don't think that's the way Arteta is with his squad. I think if Arteta sees a player like Tierney that probably doesn't suit the way he wants, but can clearly see he's a fantastic footballer and deserves to be playing week in, week out, I think he will let him go if he wants to go and play. And I think he would get everyone's wishes to wish him well wherever he goes, as long as it's not Spurs.
That's the final topic, actually. Balogun. What the hell's going on with Balogun? There was a question, but it's a starred one in there. Trev, Lyle put it in. Anyone else confused with what's going on with Balogun? Either play him or sell him. Trev, what's your thoughts on it? Now there was an article linking him that he's on Spurs' top 3 to replace Harry Kane.
Yeah. Do you know what, Ferg? I'm going to sort of duck out of this, mate, and I'll tell you why I'm going to duck out of it, because if I'm honest, I've only ever seen Balogun play really once when he started the game. Was it last season or the season before last against Brentford, when Lacazette and the other lad, Aubameyang, were out injured. He started Balogun, and he didn't look at all up to standard that day. But he was a young man, first team game, been slung in the deep end when he probably shouldn't have been there. So, to be honest, I'm just going to trust what the club does. If they get rid of him, they get rid of him. If he stays, he stays. I can't give an opinion on what I've not seen, you know.
Alex, your thoughts on Balogun, and then we'll wind up Dan when he comes back. Make sure he washed his hands.
Well, I think it looks like we're definitely going to sell him. So I think the reason why he's not in the squad or not playing is because we're looking to sell him and we don't want to risk any injuries. So, yeah, I think if we can get 50 million or so for him, I think it would be a fantastic sale from the club. Someone who's come up through the academy and got on to get a big fee for the club. So hopefully that happens. And hopefully it doesn't go to Spurs. I can't see that happening. I'm probably going to jinx it now, but I really can't see that happening. I think he'll go to probably Monaco, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Guys, it's been a great show. We've overshot as usual by about 10 minutes, but thank you for everybody who's been in the chat. It's been really good seeing some new faces and all the old faces as well. It's good having a laugh with you all. We will be back not next Monday. We'll be back the following Wednesday because we're at Palace. I collect the tickets for Palace tomorrow, thankfully. I thought I was getting very worried. But we're at Palace next Monday, so there will be probably a clip on Twitter or something like that. But the podcast will come next Wednesday at 7:00 on next week. Trevor, have we got any Trevor time or not?
Not really, Ferg, apart from the fact that it's been a pleasure seeing all these new faces in our chat tonight. I hope we've not bored you, right? We've interested you. As Fergus will say in a minute, we're just 4 Arsenal fans, an old man like me, a nearly old man like Fergus, a younger man in Dan, and then a really young lad in Alex, just chatting the Arsenal and listening to what you guys say and pulling it to bits, and some of it's rubbish, some of it makes sense, but it's all about the Arsenal. We love the Arsenal Football Club. That's all we want. We're fans.
My bits make sense.
We haven't done predictions for Palace. We'll see how the week goes. Maybe we'll do a quick show or something like that. I don't know. We'll talk about that unless anybody wants to 2-0.
2-0 like last time.
2-0 again.
2-1.
2-1. I'm going 3-0 again, so I'll stick to
3 points. 3 points. That's all that matters.
Exactly.
Yeah, they think Palace have changed the way they play. They're playing a far more aggressive way now with Elise and so on, which is quite strange when Roy Orbison, I was going to say. Roy Hudson. Roy was sitting on a dock in the bay.
He's aggressive as well.
You've messed it up again.
I have indeed. Listen, you have been watching an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans, for Arsenal fans. We're not quite where I think we're 1 or 2 short of our 900 target for the end of the day. But if you like what we do, go over to YouTube, click on the subscribe, and it just helps us along the way to try and get to. We need to get to 1,000 subscribers as a minimum. And it shuts me up for a bit. And that it just helps us to have a bit more visibility on YouTube and stuff like that. So, guys, thanks very much. I'll speak to you guys throughout the week, and you'll WhatsApp me continuously throughout the week and annoy me. It's working, and that's all that matters.
Thanks for listening to Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Follow us on Facebook at Guns and Yellow Ribbons or Twitter at Guns and Ribbons. And remember to rate and review us too. Up the Arsenal.